Good evening. We'll call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, September 25th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council other than Councilman Tim and present are all staff. So thanks for being with us. No one in the community tonight. If you do wish, if somebody shows up, number 1C, open business from the community. As usual, we'll start with our standard agenda items. Number 1A is the approval of the September 11th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Wow. We're good on this side. I'll take John for the motion, and I'll take Rob for the second. Is that okay? Having a motion and a second, all in favor then of the approval of the September 11th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Since Rob is so quick, we're going to start with you for questions on claims for payment, please.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
No questions.
John, any questions?
None, thanks.
Okay, Travis?
None, thank you. So moved.
There's a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor then of the September 25th claims for payment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes again 4-0. Open business from the community. Now, we have to have community here to have that, so we will move on. Move on to the mayor's report. I want to remind everyone about the farmers market held each Thursday evening at the Veterans Park. This Thursday will also be a fundraiser for the Hawarden Community Supper, so I'd invite those that can be in attendance to assist with that. Our congratulations to the members of the West Sioux Homecoming Court and also to Queen Jadalyn Franco and King Baxter Walsh. If you've not had an opportunity to see the Falcon Cross Country, volleyball, or football teams play, please make an effort to see them. They all need your support and are exciting to watch. There are many programs being offered at the Hawarden Public Library, which include the book club, a reading practice, and a basic computer class. So try to spend some time and quality time at our local library. Now is a great time to take advantage of our local parks and walking trails. I invite you to plan some family time and take advantage of the great weather, although not so great today. All of my comments this evening have been in regards to our community. Yesterday I met a family in town from Alaska. They were taking pictures of Hawarden and commented on how nice our community is and how friendly we are. So our thanks to all of you. That makes me very proud of Hawarden. Which then leads me to the quote from Robert F. Kennedy on what a community is. It is not more bigness that should be our goal. We must attempt rather to bring people back to the warmth of our community, to the worth of individual effort and responsibility, and of individuals working together as a community to better their lives and their children's future. I think we've worked really hard as a community in doing just that. I think I'm real proud of Corey attending the meeting last night with the Hispanic community, and I think we work very closely as a community with the young people and offer them a lot of opportunities and a lot of recreation opportunities and a lot of support in our community. So that's all I have to say as the mayor's report. So we'll move on then to staff reports, and we'll start with Jacob, our finance person.
I have nothing new to report.
That's always good and can be bad, but I'll take it as good tonight. So, hey, and thanks for your work. Appreciate it very much. Travis, you've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, I'll take some of Jacob's time. We'll start off with Watts Electric. They started the transmission line. Our substation contractor will be on site October 7th. We'll have to have that outage that affects the whole town. That'll be 11:59 on October 7th. Should last an hour. This will allow our contractor to install a new switch in the substation and that'll connect the new transmission line. Then on 3 days later, on October 10th, at the same time, 11:59, we'll have another 1 hour outage to kind of put everything back together. Notice will be in the newspaper, Facebook as well. We have a pre-construction meeting on Thursday, tomorrow, September 26th, to discuss the Main Street overlay project. Right now, we have a plan to begin October 10th. This will start with 1 day of milling the old surface. It'll be rough, but it'll still be drivable. And then, once that's complete, they'll add the overlay one side at a time. So one day they'll just do the west side, and the next day they'll do the east side. So 3 days, hopefully, we'll be all done with that. Traffic will be slow and impeded at times. Business owners and customers will have a few days of inconvenience to deal with, but I think the new road will be worth it. We've set a date for fall cleanup days. This year it's going to be October 18, 19, and 20th. That'll run from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. TV, computer monitors, and tires can be dropped off for a fee. Watch the paper for the exact amounts. I know the tires, I think, changed a little bit. Rehab systems, they've started their yearly sewer main cleaning. This year we're focusing on lines north of 10th Street to roughly 16th Street. We have the sewer mains broke down into 3 sections in town, and we do 1 section every year. That way, within 3 years, all the lines get cleaned. Jacob Grubb, one of our wastewater employees, has given us 2-week notice. That was given on the October 13th, September 13th. His last day will be Friday the 27th. We advertised the position and had interviews and have chosen Logan State as our new wastewater employee. He has an automotive degree and 3.5 years experience with Dan Waterman installing sewer and water lines. His start date will be October 4th. I'll try and get him up here if it works for him at our next council meeting so everybody can meet him.
Out of things or out of breath?
That's it.
Thank you.
Just a question on the Main Street. Once they get that overlaid, will our staff be repainting parking lines?
That's been in discussion. We'd really like to do it right away. The problem is the fall with all the sand and snow plow. I mean, they're just gone by spring.
Right.
So we'll make a decision here
Okay.
shortly on whether we want to spend the money to do it this fall or wait till spring.
Okay. Okay. Mike DeBryan, please.
Just a couple things. Next Thursday, October 3, we'll be having an employee appreciation luncheon for the city employees, kind of drawing our summer and some of our projects to an end, and they've had a lot of work on their plate this summer, so we just want to show them with a lunch our appreciation for them. October 4th at 11 a.m., we're going to be hosting the Iowa Governor's Rural Empowerment Meeting. We're expecting 20 to 30 people from out of town at this meeting. Then they want to do a tour of this building and Old City Hall. Then they'll have a catered meal. Then they'll have an open meeting for the public to attend if they wish to. Council and Mayor, Mr. Pickner and staff are all invited to attend as well. I believe Lieutenant Governor Gregg will be here for that meeting. October 8 at 6 p.m. we have our community source water kickoff. Special invitations have been sent out or handed out, as you can see in front of Council and Mayor. This meeting is open to the public, and it'll take place at the community center.
From a lot of history and a lot of things you read around the nation, that's an important, obviously, it's an important meeting for our community.
And clean water gets more important all the time, and for having this opportunity with Ms. Durst to come and spearhead that, I think it'll be a great opportunity for us.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to meet her and interact with her, and she's
Yes.
do us well in that regard. Okay. Jim, should I just pass you? Do you have something to say?
No, I'll yield my time to Travis.
All right, Corey, thanks. You're next.
Just a couple things. One, we're getting close to fall, or we are in fall, I guess now. Perfect time to start trimming your trees. You have a less chance of getting any disease in them. So our main tree ordinance would be 15 foot above the street. If you have any overhanging limbs, they need to be at least 15 foot from the surface of the street and 8 foot from any sidewalks. As always, you can take any of your lawn waste, your tree branches down to our lawn disposal area to get rid of those. Also, Travis hit on the cleanup dates, 18th, 19th, and 20th of October. If you didn't get a chance to get rid of your stuff here early on in the spring, let's try to get it out of there during those days. It's a good program that we put on for people. Last night, we had our first meeting of Plática Comunitaria, which basically means public talks. Myself, Donna Mills from the Iowa State Extension's office, and Laura Cervantes and some other individuals have decided we're going to spearhead our own campaign, basically, of integrating information from city offices, the school offices, pretty much any of the public figureheads with the Hispanic community, and try to stop being two different communities, find out different pathways that we can get the information that we have in each of our departments out to those individuals. We had about 15 to 20 individuals that showed up to our meeting last night. It was very informative. I basically broke down the top 10 ordinances that we have that are not followed, went through them piece by piece and explained everything. Had a lot of good interaction. It was a very fun and pleasant experience. So I think we're looking at our next meeting date is October 22nd, and we let them select other people that they'd like to talk to, and the next on the list were Mr. DeBryan and Mr. Waterman and Larry Cope. So hopefully we can get that set up and have a time for them to come down and visit with them and do the same thing, and just kind of keep jumping. And like I explained to them, this is something that if it gets smaller, I can see it just fizzling away. I want them to bring somebody with them next time, and so the next meeting we should have 40 people there, and then 60, and then, just keep building on it. So it was a very, very informative thing.
Just a question, you're going to follow up that meeting with maybe putting that, those top 10 ordinances that we as a public aren't following the best on the website or on Facebook, so the whole community
We
hears that
can,
also?
we can
Perhaps?
definitely do that. And I actually took the time and had each one translated into Spanish for them as well and passed them out last night. So they had both an English and Spanish version, and I can get a hold of Mike and get them on Facebook or wherever we need to. So
I would just think that'd be a great follow-up for all of the
Sure.
community to understand.
I agree.
And thanks again for everyone's efforts in making that meeting possible.
Yep.
Larry, you're next, please.
Our office has continued our one-on-one meetings with our regional development groups, meeting with the different cities in Sioux County one-on-one, seeing what they have going on in their communities, incentives that they use, and different things that they're looking at, because it's not only about growing our city, it's also working together as a region and growing the region. We continue to follow up on our Minneapolis trade show that we went to, the group. We've also started our phone, direct mail, direct email, and in-person prospect visits. We developed a database by scouring companies about an hour and a half, within an hour and a half radius of Hawarden. So we've started reaching out to those individuals, looking for opportunities to expand those businesses to our community. Just got back actually this afternoon from the 2019 Fall Professional Developers of Iowa meeting down in Sioux City. While I was down there also, we had a great meeting with the Sioux City Makerspace. And so we're going to continue some discussions with that and see if there's some kind of partnership we can come with here, not only between the Sioux City Makerspace, but also Startup Sioux Falls, which is another group that I belong to. And so more data about that in the future. We did finalize our prospect research, as I had mentioned earlier, and we have also continued our business ads in the Hawarden Independent, trying to encourage entrepreneurship in the community. We are also working still together with Corey on making sure the buildings are cleaned up throughout the community. And so as time goes on, we try to provide a second reminder or a third reminder to kind of clean them up so that we can sell the community and make the community look better at the same time. Probably one of the big things I want to encourage people to do before the deadline is there's a thing called Dream Big, Grow Here regional contest. There's $7,000 in prize money. It's put together by Northwest Iowa Development, which we're a part of that group. It's an opportunity for entrepreneurs and small business owners to submit their dreams to either start or expand their business. To qualify, you have to have less than 5 employees, located, of course, in Northwest Iowa, which we are, and then less than 3 years old. What happens is once you submit your business and what you'd like to do to expand it or grow it or even start it, once the contest starts, friends, families, and customers can actually vote for the finalist. It winds up in a pitch event of what their idea is, how they plan to expand, how do they open up, in front of a group of judges and an audience, and that happens on November the 14th. Whoever the finalists are, first place gets $4,000 plus a fair amount of assistance through regional economic development groups, small business development centers, so on and so forth. Second place gets $2,000 and also that assistance, and third place gets $1,000 plus that assistance. So it helps those individuals realize their dream and hopefully launch a business. So if anyone in the city of Hawarden is planning to do something, I encourage them to check this out on the Facebook page. It's on the city's page, and also call my office. We'd be more than happy to help them get through the process and get an application in.
Good, thanks, Larry.
Welcome.
Making a lot of good connections. Thanks for your efforts. Questions of staff from council? How about council comments? Anything from council this evening? I guess we'll move on. All right. Going to move on to other agenda items. Agenda item number 3 is a resolution 2019-46. This is a resolution approving the street finance report for fiscal year 2019. Jacob.
So this is a report that we have to file annually with the Iowa DOT, and it tells them everything that we spend our money on in the streets. It goes down to like salaries for the people working on the roads and what we pay for doing like the seal coating and other stuff like that. So we have to fill this out every year in order to keep getting our rep money that we get as a supplement to help us keep our streets updated. So the only main things that are in this is we spent a little bit more this year to pay down towards the loans that we had on the street loans, and then one of the adjustments I had to make was we have some street assessments that are special assessments that I added in there as well. And then once we get this passed, I get it sent up, and then we're good to go.
So moved.
A motion by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jen. Further questions or clarifications? Hearing none, I'd call for a roll call vote, please, for resolution 2019-46.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Lucky,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, resolution 2019-46 passes. Jacob, thanks for your work on that. We always appreciate good reporting to the state. Agenda item number 4, this is a first reading of ordinance 717, amending the Hawarden Code of Ordinances, provisions of the code for telephone, cable, internet, electric, natural gas, potable water, sanitary sewer, and solid waste services billing and billing information. Any overview on that other than what I just said?
This is kind of a correction to our service rules ordinance. When we changed that, we took out section 111.03 in its entirety, and it shouldn't have been in its entirety. So what this is, because some of the collection stuff was in there, so this is adding it back in and correcting the part that we shouldn't have taken out and putting it back in.
So there are really no changes in like the terms of collection or anything like that? It's all just...
Great, it's our collection process that we
process back
added
into
back in.
Okay. Is there a motion for the first reading of ordinance 717?
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. Further questions? A roll call vote, please, for the first reading of ordinance 717.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
That's it, okay. That passes 4-0. So I better wake up over here. Agenda item number 5 is a project update, and I'll pass that on to Mike, I believe.
Through our wastewater treatment project loan, we were eligible for a SRF grant, which was 1% of the loan. So we had been looking at doing some work to our parking lot. It has to be a stormwater project to improve stormwater runoff. So we're looking at the parking lot, and we are looking at adding pavers to the back end of the parking lot, where some of the stormwater will run off and absorb into those pavers before it goes into the gutter. If you, on the picture that you all have, we've got the pavers, and then there's a row of concrete on both sides of it. One of the rows of concrete's already there, and then it goes into the concrete street. And that's to keep the pavers in place. What we're proposing to do, and it's about $312,000 that we get, which will cover the pavers and part of the concrete. We propose then to finish off the rest of the parking lot in concrete and add lighting. We feel that this project will enhance the parking lot and maybe finish what I think, some of it was intended back in, when we passed the bond issue. We feel it's a good way to get it done at a lot, using the grant money would save us, that much in having to do the rest of it in concrete. Plus, it'll help the stormwater runoff and improve the aesthetics of the parking lot. We would also then put in a row of lighting across the parking lot, which over the years has been a huge comment when people use our facility, that it's so dark out in the parking lot when they go to leave. So we're looking at piggybacking the stormwater drainage project along with the finishing off the parking lot. We're looking at probably spring of next year of 2020 in order to do this project. There'll be 3 double lights that we'll put across there if it's approved, and kind of like our downtown ones, and they'll be on concrete pillars so that the poles are above the parking lot, and then we'll have it the top part striped. Of course, we don't want to stripe the pavers. So can I answer any questions you may have or concerns?
The road from Central to the parking lot just south of our building, is that included in being concreted?
Yes, we're gonna do like along the police department.
Right.
Yes, we'll do the whole thing, and then eventually we'd like to encase the dumpsters in something that's more hidden too, so they're not just sitting out there.
Would there be a cost to the city above what we get on the grant? What would be
Yes.
the city's?
To concrete the rest of the parking lot, we figure is going to cost somewhere under $200,000. We did meet with a couple, or with a cement contractor, and this year's prices were probably somewhere in the 150. The proposal for that is to use some contingency money that we've had set aside for a number of years. There was money put aside in 2000 or 2001 in case, that's when the hospital was very deeply in debt to Mercy, and that was put aside in case that was ever called. Well, The hospital is doing fine now. There's no longer that debt, but that money has remained there. So we'll use some figures like that there. We don't plan on any borrowing or anything to finish the parking lot.
Does that include the electrical and the lights, or is that in the?
We're gonna have our crew do that, though. I mean, we'll be able to run, Travis can probably speak on it more, but run the wires underground and,
Yeah, there's conduit actually stubbed out of our mechanical room out for provision for lighting. And we'll just add that to our lighting circuit in the building. Our guys can install the 3 lights, so.
Is there any long-term maintenance concerns with the pavers for frost heave or plowing
There's
on
going to be
it,
some
or-
maintenance that comes with it. We'll have to sweep it, and once a year, we can use the jet vac to go out and vac up any of the loose, fine material. Yeah, so there's a maintenance plan that goes with the pavers. So we'll just have to make sure we follow those.
Okay. Yeah, year one, it always looks good, and after a winter,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to know.
so any other questions on that?
Was there ever thoughts of like projected light from the building that would cast over the parking lot? If that,
Light from the building?
yeah, would you ever project light to save some of those costs, or is that?
You know, I don't know how that would work. Part of the problem we're having is getting out that way too, so you would have to,
Yeah.
put some up. I'm just not sure you would get the light and the aesthetic, look of it with that. So if everybody's okay with that, we'll continue on as we have been.
I think it'd make a nice addition to our community center.
Thank you. We'll move on then to agenda item number 6, discussion on creating revitalization districts and creating incentives for new construction within those districts.
We've been looking at for some time, creating incentives and things like that we can get to enhance or have people look at building, whether it's businesses or single-family or multifamily homes. Over the last year, we've had a little bit of interest in putting up apartment complexes and things like that, and we've been comparing kind of the incentives through tax abatement that other communities are offering. We've kind of put some things together. If we create a revitalization district, which we had in the early to mid-2000s, we originally had these, we were able to do is offer tax abatements. The way tax abatements work is if we put the revitalization district into place, and let's talk a single-family home, and somebody builds a single-family home, Iowa law allows that the first $75,000 of assessed value of that be abated, so they don't have to pay any taxes, county, school, any taxes on that first $75,000 for a period of 5 years. Businesses are longer. Multifamily housing, it can be up to 10 years. So we've checked, like I said, with our neighbors to find out what they're doing, and they're having success with some of the same programs. One of the big things we look at is what do we make our revitalization zone in Hawarden? Well, we're not looking at making a blighted revitalization zone, which is different than a regular revitalization zone. So we legally can encompass the whole community as a revitalization area. That way, if I build a house in the Frog Pond part of town, or I build it on Boyer Hill, I still get that tax abatement. And I think, to me, what's most important is just spurring some building. I mean, I don't care if it's built in the Frog Pond area or on the hill. It's getting new houses vitalized, or new businesses, or new industry. So Larry and I have been working on this, and we kind of feel that by putting the community into a revitalization district, we can offer these tax abatements that it's not money that comes out of our pockets. Basically, it creates new incremental value. We just have to wait whatever the period is to capture the tax value on that. It gives the person that's building a tax break. So I think it can work out fairly well for us, or for the whole community, for anybody that's looking to build. On after the map, the next slide is some layouts that we took off of the state code for revitalization districts. And the first one is industrial building. We wanted to create a minimum new investment. You know, when we had our revitalization districts before, I could put up a new shed, and I got a tax abatement on that for a year or 2 or 3, whatever it was set up. Or I could put on a new deck, or I could do something like that. We want to concentrate more on new building or additions onto existing buildings with commercial and industrial. So we put in, you know, just for conversation points at this time, industrial, a minimum of $50,000 of new investment, and it would be a 10-year sliding scale or a 3-year 100% abatement. Industrial is considered an actual place that puts things together. You know, then you have your commercial, which is, you'd follow like your mechanic shops or your trucking industries or things like that. So they would be just a little bit different, but
Mike, just to clarify, when we're saying 50,000 new investment, do we mean that the appraised value when they're done will be up 50,000?
yes,
Okay.
yep.
So
Yep.
to clarify that.
And, you know, anybody that's going to build a new industrial building is going to be more than that, but you know, I think putting minimums in there. And we got a couple other incentives on there, you know, incentivize industrial park land or infrastructure to the site. And since we own the land, you know, those are things we can do. We go to existing building, again, it's the $50,000 of new investment, so if they would put on a new addition or something like that, the same 10-year sliding scale or the 3-year 100% abatement. Commercial, according to code, commercial is a little bit different in how you can set up your abatements, and that's you can do a 5-year sliding scale or a 3-year 100% abatement. And for an addition, it's the 5-year sliding scale. And then we went to multifamily housing, and I put in 5 units or more, so it's going to be a larger apartment complex, obviously, and somebody's going to have a lot larger investment. And we've talked about a couple of different things, but we even talked to a builder who was considering an apartment, multi-unit apartment building, and we went over the scenario with him. So, you know, we'd look at 100% abatement the first 5 years, and then a sliding scale for the next 5, so that in year 11 they're paying 100% of the property taxes that are owed. There's nothing abated, but it eases them into it. The first 5 years they have the biggest investment. They can get it going, getting on their feet, and then the next 5 we can ease them off of that abatement. Single-family housing, we're able to do, since it's not in a blighted area, we're able to do 100% abatement of the first $75,000. So if somebody puts up a $275,000 house, they're taxed on $200, not $275. And we can do that for a period of 5 years. So that's kind of what we were looking at, thinking about, wanted to discuss with, you know, see how council felt about implementing those. The process of doing that take the 60 to 90 days. It requires mailings to everybody in the revitalization district. It requires a public hearing. It then requires another 30-day waiting period. So we got to mail, set a public hearing for 30 days, wait another 30 days before we can implement it. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of a long process, but it's something that we're hoping helps spurn some building in the community.
Do we have anything now? I know that we've kind of talked about that when we sold some of the other ones. Is there anything in place of some people that have built in the past? Did they
No.
ever get, they didn't, they would,
Years ago, we did, was it 2010 or 11, we did away with a lot of those. And so we haven't had anything in place since then.
okay.
You know, the good news in town is, you know, right now, there's 3 houses that are being worked on now, new homes. There's 2 more that people are talking about doing, so, I mean, it's starting, and maybe with just a little bit of carrot, it'll catch on, so.
And as you mentioned earlier, it's, you know, abating their tax. It's not, we're not taking monies from us, giving it to them.
Right, yeah, we're not taking it in and then gotta pay it back out. It's nothing we have right now. So, you know, we will capture the tax base on that after the certain amount of time is up, so.
What would you like from the council if they wish to continue this?
Just a consensus that this is something they want to continue to work on. You know, then the next step would be to talk to Dorsey Whitney, have them start the process of the paperwork, and we'll go through the public hearings and resolutions as we go on. But if this is something the council wishes to continue, that's, you know, the big thing we need to know.
Sounds good.
Do we have to decide which one to do? Or does that come later? We have or, 10-year or.
Oh, I think
Or that-
what our idea was is to leave it up to the person that's
Okay.
building. You know, you can either get a 3-year 100% or a 5-year sliding scale. You know, let them have some input into it and choices on those 2. I mean, these are all set out in Iowa code. We're not given anything that's not set out in Iowa code if we create this district. So I think it's, you know, somebody may want the first 3 years 100% abated to get a jump start on what they're doing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually provides a flexibility, and, you know, it doesn't lock you into one or the other. It's, for some individuals, the 3-year 100% is best. Others, it works better for them if it's more of a spread out. So,
Yep. And I like how you've encompassed everything from your industrial, commercial, all the way to the housing, so it kind of keeps it even throughout everything.
and it will make us competitive. This is fairly similar to what a lot of our similar communities around here. I have met with Rock Valley, I've met with Orange City, I've met with Sioux Center, and a number of others, and, you know, this is within lines of what they've done. In fact, I believe one of them just recently approved an update to theirs for multifamily housing, which is fairly similar to ours.
I think we've got a verbal consensus to continue the process, if you would, please.
We will continue.
And thanks for your work on that. Agenda item number 7, approval of the 1-year extension to the 2016-2020 collective bargaining contract.
This is what we had talked about a month ago, maybe a little longer, on the union has requested that we extend the contract for 1 more year. So we went back to them with our proposal and the wage concessions that we would offer, and they voted on it and agreed to accept it. So this is the formal acceptance of our part that we're going to continue that for 1 more year.
So moved.
There's a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. The motion and the second is to approve the 1-year extension of the 2016-2020 collective bargaining contract. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. We have a consent agenda from Casey Store for an ownership update. I think in your reference, someone retired and they changed that person.
Yes.
And also then a request for carry-out wine privilege to their current Class C liquor license Obviously, when it's on a consent agenda, all the paperwork is in and correct. I'd entertain a motion for that consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Agenda item number 9, this would be a closed session. This would be our annual review of the city administrator. It's requested in writing that this review be held in closed session, subject to Iowa Code 21-5, Parent I, to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and that's a big word, irreparable injury to that individual's reputation. That individual requests a closed session. At this time, I would call for a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Jen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. A roll call vote, please, to go into closed session for the city of Hawarden.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Clunky.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, Hawarden City Council will go into closed session. That will be taped on a separate tape. So we'll recess for just a moment, take a restroom break. Hawarden City Council is now going into closed session.
Did you see that bug I almost got?